Here's everything you need to know on what to farm for ROCCIA, starting with her mats, echoes, and her base team and a weapon. So without wasting any more time, let's get into it. Starting off with ROCCIA kits, but before that, just a reminder that her kit might or can be changed by Kuro at the last second, so take everything on this video with a grain of salt. ROCCIA will perform up to 4 consecutive basic attack dealing havoc damage. For heavy attack, whenever ROCCIA has at least 100 imagination, will activate beyond imagination stats and send ROCCIA mid-air. You can fully charge the imagination or her forte bar by hold longer the basic attack button. Once the forte bar is full or her imagination full, heavy attack will be automatically cast. ROCCIA resonance skill will pull nearby enemies and then launches herself into mid-air and activates the beyond imagination just like her heavy attack. Her resonance liberation will summon Pero and deal havoc damage to the enemies, and the damage is considered heavy attack, so it's better to get substat that mainly focus on heavy attack damage bonus on your echo to fully utilize her damage. And now ROCCIA Forte Circuit. First of all, her gameplay will revolve around these specific kits beyond imagination. When ROCCIA is in beyond imagination with at least 100 imagination, press basic attack button will consume 100 imagination to cast basic attack Real Fantasy. Real Fantasy will have 3 stages and each attack deal havoc damage and consider as heavy attack damage. ROCCIA also provide additional attack when her crit rate reach 50%. Every 0.1% give 1 attack for 30 seconds upon cast Real Fantasy stage 3. Attack increase capped at 200 points only. ROCCIA can hold up to 300 imagination and can be restored by casting normal attack, hold normal attack, resonance skill acrobatic trick, and intro skill. For the other 2 inherent skill for ROCCIA, immersive performance will increase ROCCIA attack by 20% whenever she casts resonance skill or heavy attack for 12 seconds, and no, this effect cannot be stacked up. Super effective magic box will only be available whenever ROCCIA trigger her outro skill, and the next resonator will have their utility replaced to magic box. Raising the magic box will suck nearby target and the damage will consider as utility damage. ROCCIA's outro skill, Applause Please, will provide buff to the next resonator by amplify their havoc damage by 20% and basic attack damage by 25%. And this effect is very suited with Camellia, and on god, this is going to be our premium team for her. Now let's talk about ROCCIA Resonant Change, or you can call it the Constellation. Which one to prefer or decide, is she worth at C0 and can she just stay like that? For free-to-play player, this section might not be your main focus, but can consider listening in case you might want to go further with your pooling session. Let's start with ROCCIA C1. Casting Resonance skill will grant ROCCIA 100 additional imagination and 10 concerto energy, which will help on doing the swap team even faster and will be immune to interruption when doing basic attack Real Fantasy. C2 will provide 30% havoc damage bonus to your team whenever you cast basic attack Real Fantasy. Once you reach the max stack of 3, ROCCIA will gain another 10% havoc damage bonus, making it to 40% for your team. Crazy. C3 will provide 10% of crit rate and 30% crit damage whenever ROCCIA intro skill is triggered. C4 increase basic attack Real Fantasy damage multiplier by 60% whenever ROCCIA casts resonance skill for 12 seconds. And for C5 is also the same, where ROCCIA liberation damage multiplier is increased by 20% and heavy attacks damage multiplier by 80%. Finally, for C6, upon casting liberation, ROCCIA's will have 3 different effects, where the first basic attack Real Fantasy will ignore enemies' defense by 60% and ROCCIA will gain another basic attack Real Fantasy, or the other name Reality Regression, and this one you can consider as the stage 4, and the damage will be the same like stage 3 and still consider as heavy attack damage. And the last one, ROCCIA will be immune to interruption while doing basic attack beyond imagination. And for the weapon choice for ROCCIA, of course, her best in slot weapon, Tragic Comedy, where the weapon passive will increase her attack by 12% and give another buff for heavy attack damage by 48% for 3 seconds whenever ROCCIA casts basic attack or trigger her intro skill. You can also use standard 5-star gauntlet, the Abyss Surge, where the weapon will increase basic attack by 10% whenever her resonance skill hit the enemy and vice versa. For the 4-star option, the first one you can put on with ROCCIA is Celestial Spiral from the Deep Sky Blazer series. This weapon will increase her attack by 10% and give 6 resonance energy whenever ROCCIA casts her resonance skill. This weapon will be useful if you want to fully take advantage for her liberation uptime and more attack buff. And for the other 4-star weapon, Marsato. This one can be used if you're planning on making her as your support, where her main motive to keep buffing Camellia or Danjin. And the amount of energy regen it provided from the second stat will be good for having her liberation up all the time. Next up, Echo Suggestion. So on the upcoming version 2.0, we will be introduced to another new set of Strata effect where you can farm it at Renacita and can be obtained by defeat the Tested Discord at Renacita as well. Midnight Veil is the new Strata effect where its main function to provide more buff to incoming Resonator when the wearer trigger the outro skill. This is very suitable if you're planning on building ROCCIA as your sub DPS, especially for Camellia and maybe Danjin. But if you do the other way by making ROCCIA as your main damage dealer, then Havoc Eclipse on her is already a good choice. For cost for Echo, putting on Midnight Veil set, you are going to have 2 options to choose, either for Lullaray or Nightmare Impermanence Heron. Going for Heron is I recommend due to its buff that ROCCIA can fully take advantage of, but for Lullaray, you can actually just use it if in case you still didn't have that decent Heron Echo. It's just a second buff from that Echo might not get fully utilized since ROCCIA liberation damage is considered heavy attack. And for Havoc Eclipse set, there's also 2 crownless that you can choose for ROCCIA, the normal and the Nightmare version. Both buff provided is the same where you will get the Havoc damage bonus, but for the second buff on the normal, you will get resonance skill damage bonus, while on the Nightmare, you will get the basic attack damage bonus. Just choose which one you prefer the most. Will you do more damage on the skill or just by doing the basic attack? Cost tree you can just adjust between Havoc and attack percent, where for example your attack stat is a bit low than you plan it and your Havoc damage maybe is way too high. Cost 1 of course going to put the attack percent on both slot. For substat, it is recommended to get both crit value first, and then for the third slot try to get a heavy attack damage bonus whenever you try to tune some echoes in the future. And now comes to the team synergy for ROCCIA. As far as we know, most of ROCCIA damage will be converted to heavy attack, so putting her together with Resonator that can bring out more damage on her will be perfect, and that Resonator of course none other than Mortefi himself. Mortefi will buff ROCCIA heavy attack damage by 38%, which is really good if you're planning to build her as your main damage dealer. For the third slot, of course, your typical Verena, Shopkeeper or Baji. If you don't have Mortefi, changing him with Danjin is also recommended since Danjin will provide more Havoc damage bonus for ROCCIA as well. And if you're planning to make ROCCIA as your sub DPS or maybe just support, then putting her with Camellia is a must thing to do since ROCCIA outro skill will provide additional Havoc damage bonus by 20% and basic attack damage bonus by 25%. This lineup can be considered as Camellia premium team, where it's the same thing with Gigi and Carlotta, where this character really resonate with each other's kit. Finally, ROCCIA's material Ascension. ROCCIA will need 46 of the Cleansing Conch, which can be farmed by defeating Lullaray at the new area Renacita. She also needs 4 green polygon core, 12 blue polygon core, 12 purple polygon core, and lastly 4 of the gold polygon core. For the regional flowers, she will need 60 Firecracker Jewel Wheat that can be farmed in the new area Renacita. Finally, the total number of shell credits you need to fully ascend her is 170,000 shell credits. Also, for the total number of shell credits to fully level her up to level 90 is 1.2 million shell credits. For a skill level up, firstly you need a lot of these cadence things. 25 of the green cadence, 28 of blue cadence, 55 of purple cadence, and lastly 67 gold cadence. For the core, she will also use the same one, the polygon core. She will need 25 green polygon core, 28 blue polygon core, 40 of purple polygon core, and 57 gold polygon core. Weekly boss drop you need for skill is the Netherworld Stair that can be farmed from the boss Hecate located at the new area Renacita. Finally, for the total amount of shell credits you need to fully level up all the skill is a whopping of 2.3 million shell credits. Alright everyone, that's it for the video. As always, most of the key information I share with you might or can be changed by Kuro whenever the official release comes out. So if some of you guys have any tips you want to add up or perhaps want to correct me on something, please let me know in the comments down below. As always, I will see you lot in the next one. Goodbye.